Hey everyone, guess who's back? It's Kamish, back here with week 2 previews. I hope you enjoyed week 1. I know I didn't as a Browns fan, but I'm not giving up on them yet. And hopefully you're not giving up on your team after week 1. So let's just get right into the week 2 previews. So the first game I have myself taking on Adrian and the Age Crew, red and white divisional battle. Second straight for Adrian as he faced Brian last week. He's currently sitting 19th. I'm currently sitting in 7th. It's the first meeting between us and the LOC. I got myself winning this one just for the sheer fact that Adrian obviously didn't pick the round 13, as it's been well documented. And it showed obviously in his week 1 performance, although I think he is going to improve over time with his waiver claims most likely. But I don't think it's going to be early enough to beat me. For myself, obviously, I'm really happy with Jamison Crowder and the way he performed. Whereas for Adrian, I'm sure he's probably likes the fact that Ronald Jones made an impression week 1 for Tampa. So either way, NFL.com has me winning by 54 at the moment, and I'm going to agree with NFL.com. Whore business goes to 2-0. Adrian will fall to 0-2. Next up, we got Fighting Geese taking on True North. Two teams that have been here from the beginning. And when I looked at the history, it's been a hell of a battle between these two teams. They played each other quite a bit. 2014, Chris won. In 2015 and 2016, Fighting Geese won once in each of those years. And then in 2017, Chris won 2 games. And one of those games was actually the quarterfinal in the playoffs. So Chris beat Fighting Geese in the quarterfinals in 2017. And then in 2018, Suze won in the regular season. But Chris won when it counted most, and that was in the semifinals last year to get to the finals to eventually become champion. So 4-3 lifetime is the total for Chris against Fighting Geese. You'd swear these guys are divisional opponents. Some of the things that have happened since week 1, obviously Nicky Foles got hurt for the year, so True North's backup quarterback's gone. And also there's concerns about Joe Mixon and whether or not he will be available for week 2, which obviously has caused concern for Chris, considering he lost week 1. He didn't have AB available on his new team of the Pats. He will be available week 2 against the Dolphins, so it'll be interesting to see how quickly he picks up the Patriot way. But currently, right now, Geese is sitting 6th. True North is sitting 14th. Right now, NFL.com has this one being super close, with Fighting Geese winning by a handful of points, less than 5. But I'm actually going to go with True North on this one. I think with the return of AB, it will be the difference, especially since they're playing a really bad Dolphins team. So I just have a feeling with AB's presence there, and if Joe Mixon is healthy for sure, I'm going True North, and that's what I originally had. So I have True North rebounding after a week 1 loss. Next game up, we got 2 more original owners. This time Storm and the 12th Man. 2 teams that actually haven't played each other that much, though. In 2016, they split a couple of games. And then in 2017, Brian won. So Brian is 2-1 lifetime against Krista. And I don't see that changing. I actually have Brian going 2-0. And there's a multitude of reasons. But really, Krista obviously losing Devin Funchess. That'll hurt her RWT slot. But she has to be happy with what she saw from Derrick Henry week 1. For Brian, I mean, the lineup is pretty deep from top to bottom from what I can see. Especially when you got Old Man Fitz putting up 26 in 1 week. Right now, NFL.com has this one being a less than 6-point differential, with the second seed, 12th Man, winning against the 15th seed Storm, and I also am going with the 12th Man. I think Phillip Rivers has a good matchup, whereas Russell Wilson does not. So I'm going with Brian and the 12th Man to go 2-0. Next up, we got Ellie and Billsy Bobs. Ellie Island, Billsy Bobs. Ellie Island coming in dead last after week 1. Missed the draft. That's usually what happens. And we see the result. Danny and Billsy Bob, he's sitting 8th, it says, but he's actually a divisional leader right now, so we'd get a top 4 seed. These guys, Ellie Island's only been around for the 1 year. And oddly enough, these two teams met in week 2 last year, and Ellie Island won by 2.67 points. So I'm sure Billsy Bobs would love nothing more than to get revenge here the year after, and I do have them getting the revenge. I mean, Deshaun Watson looks like he's going to be electric this year. Austin Eckler putting up 43 for Billsy Bobs last week. Just unbelievable numbers. Where I look at Ellie Island, you got Sterling Shepard in the concussion protocol, and he's one of your better players. It's going to be a long year for Ellie Island. NFL.com has this one, a 37-point win for Billsy Bobs. I don't think it's going to be an issue for Billsy in week 2. I have Billsy Bobs starting out 2-0, and I'm sure he's pretty happy about that. Next up, we got Eric and Swahino taking on Matthew and Cape Cod Sharks. Big news in this one right away is Swahino lost Tyreek Hill to injury pretty early on in week 1, and that's going to hurt him. The wide receiver depth can't take a big hit like that, losing a top receiver, and it will affect him in this one. It is the first meeting between the two. This is Swahino's first year. He's obviously on the grace, but the depth is going to be tested with the injury. Whereas for Cape Cod Sharks, Alvin Kamara, he is Alvin Kamara. He just continues to do what he can do. And hopefully Stephon Diggs is kind of getting healthy just in time for this matchup. But if Swahino can get another 50 points from Lamar Jackson, obviously he'll make this a close game. But I do have Cape Cod Sharks winning this one. That's what I originally had. And NFL.com has it being a 4-point game, so they obviously see this one being very tight. And a big game for both. Obviously, both at 0-1. So a win here for someone. Obviously, your season looks a little bit brighter than obviously 0-2. Next up, we got another original owner matchup. We got Robert and Templars taking on Milan in the 6. So it's kind of funny for Milan in the 6. He took on me last week, lost, and I beat him. I'm 4-0 lifetime now against him. But it's a reversal situation here against Robert and Templars. These guys have played a lot. 2014, Milan beat him. 2015, Milan beat him twice. And last year, Milan beat him again. Robert got the best of Milan in 2017. So Milan is 4-1 lifetime versus Templars. And it's a must-win for both teams. Obviously, you don't want to fall to 0-2, and that just makes things tough. And we'll have to see what happens. I mean, it's not like the 6 has easy matches. Saquon Barkley has to face that Bills defense. That's not going to be easy. Jimmy G didn't particularly look too good in week 1. Rudolph had that goose egg, so... for Robert and Templars, he's going to hope for another big game from Carlos Hyde and Duke Johnson, the Texans power duo. And obviously Mitchell Trubisky will have to be better in Mile High. So I am going 6 in this one, though. I see him continuing the domination, and Robert's going to fall to 0-2. Next up, I got Canadian Guy and Norm taking on Dusan and Subotica Spartans, two teams on the Grace. Second straight game where Subotica Spartans is taking on another new owner. Right now, NFL.com has Subotica Spartans taking this one by 28, and I see that continuing. Obviously, this is the first meeting between the two. For Subotica Spartans, the big news obviously is losing Tevin Coleman at running back. That's going to hurt, obviously, because your running back depth is very thin at the moment. Like most teams usually, but... Obviously, Subotica Spartans will miss him, but when you're getting over 50 points from Sammy Watkins, and now that he looks like he's going to be the WR1 there for a bit in Kansas City, I think that's going to be enough to push him over the edge, even though Mahomes is there for Canadian Guy. I'm curious to see how Mahomes performs with the bad ankle that he got from week 1. Obviously, he might not be as mobile. But again, Canadian Guy didn't draft till late. We know what happens. I think he still put up a solid competitive effort for week 1 and will for week 2. But I have Subotica Spartans taking this one and going 2-0 as a new owner. Next up, it's Lucas and Green Lightning taking on Sean and Fallen Misfits. Again, two original owners. Lots of history here as well. When I looked back, Lucas has dominated this series between the two. 4-0 lifetime. Beat him in 2014, 2015, 2016, and 2018 last year. So for Sean, there's no better time than now to try to beat Green Lightning for the first time in his history. 45 points is what NFL.com has Misfits beating Lightning, and I'm going to go with the Misfits beating Lightning. I think the Misfits get the better of them here. I think Sammy Darnold has a tough matchup for Lucas against the Browns. You got to think Winston will rebound from the multi-interception game for Misfits. If he does not, I think Winston's career could be in serious trouble. But I think, looking at Sean's lineup with all the running backs, Josh Jacobs, great premier effort there for the Raiders. And obviously Le'Veon Bell is going to get his touches. And I think James Conner is also going to have a much better game against that Seahawks defense. I think Misfits has the advantage there with those running backs. And I think it's going to be his first win against Lucas. So I'm sure that's going to feel good. But whoever wins this game goes to 2-0. And obviously that's very important to get an early start, especially early on. So I got Misfits winning this one. Next up, we got Luke and Too Good for a Name versus Joshua and Life's a Mitch. Joshua has not had much success against Luke. As we know, Joshua wasn't here last year, but he was here in 2016 and 2017. These teams played 3 times during that span, and Luke won every single one. He's 3-0 lifetime versus Joshua. And he also beat him in the third place game in 2016 to get into the top 3. So that one obviously was an important game and one I'm sure Joshua still thinks about. For Luke, big injury news. Darius Geis sounds like he's not going to be available, but I think you're going to be okay. You have the depth, obviously, to handle a loss like that, but obviously you don't want too many of those. NFL.com has this one being super close, 7-point game. For Luke, I mean, how do you lose by 0.02 points? We'll see if the stat corrections obviously change things with that. But what a loss. I've never seen a loss that tight. I mean, the only one that could be lower, and that's 0.01. So, hell of a game it was to watch, and I think this is going to be a hell of a game to watch between Joshua and yourself. I had always shitty winning the first week, but I don't have him winning this one. I got Joshua finding a way to get to 2-0. I got Luke falling 0-2. And we'll see if it comes to fruition. I mean, he does have Brady in Miami, but Brady in Miami has always struggled. We'll see if he struggles this time. For Life's a Mitch, I think Chicago is going to start feeding Montgomery the rock. Which I think is going to help, obviously, you in your running back game. As well as with the injury to Geis, it only means good news for Life's a Mitch, as AP is on the other side and will get those carries. You got to think that Too Good for a Name's not going to get. And that's one of the main reasons why I originally had Joshua, obviously. I never changed any picks for this week. And I'm going to stick with Joshua, based especially on what's happened here with the Geis injury. I think that'll be enough for him to get the extra points against Luke. Next up, we have the game of the week, and it's going to be a thriller, an American Division battle, and it's 2 powerhouses by the looks of things. We got Brandon and the Architect taking on Ryan and Deuce Bombers. NFL.com right now has the matchup 43-point win for Deuce Bombers. These teams met last year in a consolation round. Ryan ended up beating Brandon by 7.92 points, so he is 1-0 lifetime versus Brandon. But how important is this one in that American Division early on? I think some people obviously criticized when I picked Brandon to finish 9-3 this year, and then he comes out and is the number 1 seed through the first week. 299 put up, almost a 300 burger. And obviously proved himself. But I think in this one, in such a huge divisional battle, I actually have Deuce Bombers finding a way in this one. There's many reasons why. I think obviously number 1 reason, I think Wentz will perform well in prime time. Dalvin Cook, I think, will continue his magic, and Keenan Allen looks really good as well. But it's going to be tight, obviously. Brandon and the Architects got a great matchup with Dak facing that Skins defense. Looks like they'll be without Jonathan Allen as well. But when I look at these lineups top to bottom, there's no doubt about it. I mean, DJ Shark delivered in a big way for the Architect last week. And it'll be interesting to watch this one. They have two defenses in right now. It's Houston for Brandon. It's Jacksonville for Deuce Bombers. And those two teams faced each other. So it'll be fun to watch. And obviously, I'm going to be keeping my eye on this one. We already saw what happened week 1 with Deuce and Too Good for a Name. Except this one's even all more important considering it's an American Division battle, and one that I think everyone's going to be keeping their eye on. But I do have Deuce Bombers going and getting the win in this one to go 2-0. I hope you guys had an awesome week 1, and I'm looking forward to an awesome week 2, and have a great time out there.